for the ages. It was incredible. Good morning, everybody. Welcome into First Take. Thank you so much for hanging with us. Skip Bayless, Molly Karam, Stephen A. Smith. And Skip, I know you say often after NBA games, you can't settle down, fall back to sleep. That was me last night.
Really?
So hype. It was so incredible. I'm jealous. He was in the building for that one.
He was.
Morning, Stephen A.
What's up, y'all? How y'all doing?
It counted.
It did.
Yeah. May I just say, and I'm sure you will echo me, Mr. Smith, congratulations to Cleveland, Ohio. I'm a big fan of Cleveland, Ohio, and you folks deserve that after 52 years. Congrats.
They really do. I mean, I can't stand the cold coming off of Lake Erie in the wintertime, but that's the only complaint that I have.
Well, they can't help it. They
well,
can't
listen,
help it.
I know that, but that's the only complaint that I have in this city. I mean, we're going to talk about Game 7, but Skip, I was there for Game 6 Friday night.
Yep.
And that city showed up at the Q. It was one of the most sensational home crowds I have ever seen. They showed up, and nobody, no city in America deserves what happened last night more than they do. I'm really happy for them.
With you.
No question. All in, they earned it. So let's talk about it. Time to work, gentlemen. LeBron James and the Cavs did what no team has ever done in the finals, coming back from being down 3-1 to bring Cleveland its first championship in 52 years. Now, according to Elias, the Cavs held the Warriors to 13 points in the final period, which were the fewest for any NBA team during the fourth quarter of the 7th game of an NBA Finals during the shot clock era. Stephen A., break it down for us. What happened last night?
Kyrie Irving and that big-time three-point shot. This dude put on a show. He was absolutely sensational for the vast majority of this series. He deserves props. Tristan Thompson played like a man amongst boys on many nights. I thought Kevin Love and his 14 rebounds last night, no, he didn't score a lot of points, but he showed up and played like a man. He deserves a lot of credit. Tyronn Lue, with a lot of the adjustments that he was making throughout this series, and his coaching staff deserve a boatload of credit. But LeBron James, I think that this dude, I'm struggling to find the words to express how happy I am for him. We all know, Skip, both you and I picked Golden State to win this series in 7 games. I was hopeful that I would be wrong because I didn't want 5 NBA Finals losses on the illustrious career of LeBron James. I thought that would define him more so than the greatness that he's exhibited throughout the year. But he showed up when it counted. He didn't have the greatest game in the world, shot 9 of 24 from the field. But he showed up when it counted with some key shots in the fourth quarter. That incredible block on Andre Iguodala could have gone up stronger, could have gone up higher, but we all know he had those back spasms from Game 6, and it was a miracle he played 37 minutes last night. In Game 7, it was a valiant effort on his part, but that play by LeBron James is, I mean, it was the defining moment of how badly he wanted this, not just for himself, but the city of Cleveland and the Northeast Ohio area. 27, 11, and 11 in a Game 7. Coming into Game 7, averaging better than 34 points in his career. When all was said and done, although that big-time three-point shot over Steph Curry by Kyrie Irving sealed the deal as far as I was concerned, LeBron James setting the tone, being as aggressive as he was in the fourth quarter, when that wasn't necessarily the case in the first 3, just can't say enough about him. He showed up. He highlighted something that he had brought to our attention just months earlier when he said, in the aftermath of Steph Curry capturing league MVP honors for the 2nd consecutive year, while he wasn't disputing the fact that Steph Curry deserved the award, that he was worthy of it, there is a difference between the league MVP and who actually is the best player in the world. And when you look at what LeBron James was able to do on both ends of the floor, when it counted most, we can point to a lot of things. Draymond Green getting suspended for Game 5. Andrew Bogut getting hurt in that game. So many things that have transpired. But in the end, it comes down to the greatness of LeBron James, the flourishing play of Kyrie Irving, and the Cleveland Cavaliers, who end up proving that in the end, they were the better team. And that's why they sit here today as world champions, NBA champions.
I hear every point you just made, and let me start my points by congratulating LeBron James, who obviously was terrific in those last 3 games. But Stephen A. Smith, I am sorry, but I cannot get around or get over what the Golden State Warriors did not do in the fourth quarter of a Game 7 for all the marbles at Roracle Arena with the game on the line. I cannot digest it. I can't compute it. I'm baffled. As Molly said, hard to go to sleep. I had a hard time going to sleep because I kept wondering what happened to the Golden State Warriors. They scored, well, let's start at the start here. They're up 1 going to the fourth quarter, and they managed a grand total of 13 points at home in Game 7. And by the way, that was double trouble because they also managed a grand total of 13 fourth quarter points in Game 5 at home, a closeout game. What? The Golden State Warriors in the fourth quarter last night shot 1 for 10 from the three-point line. Now let's try to compute that. The team that led the league, obviously in three-point shooting, with the player who revolutionized the shot by shattering his own record, Steph Curry, that team averaged 115 points a game during the regular season as it set the record with 73 wins. That's 29 points a quarter during the regular season, 82 games worth that it averaged. It scored 13 in the fourth quarter. Are you kidding me? And Steph Curry, the back-to-back MVP, the first ever unanimous MVP, the guy we both have called the greatest shooter ever, shot 1 for 6 in the fourth quarter, 1 for 5 from 3, and 2 of his misses, I'm going to say this, and it's surreal, it's coming out of my mouth. Stephen A., down the stretch, as he went 0 for 5 from 3, 2 of his misses missed the rim. Steph Curry missed the rim twice. I don't have a stat on this, but how many times during the whole season did he miss the rim on a three-point shot? I don't know. I'm sure there are a couple here or there, but not very many times. This is Steph Curry. And meanwhile, his partner, quote-unquote, in crime, Klay Thompson, goes 2 of 10 from 3 for the game. Steph for the game was 4 of 14 from 3. So that's a combined 6 of 24 for the Splash Brothers, who last night, once again, were the Crash Brothers. That was crash and burn for Golden State in the fourth quarter. And I think, Stephen A., don't we get back to the old cliche that we've sort of grown up with in the league? You live by the 3 and you die by the 3. This is ultimately dying by the 3. And I must say that as great as LeBron was, and I'm about to talk about Kyrie, how great he was, Steph Curry came up even smaller than he really is. He's pretty slender and small and slight as it is, but he played even smaller than that down the stretch of a fourth quarter in which neither team could buy a basket for a whole 4-minute stretch as the score was stuck on 89. Go ahead.
First of all, you're not wrong. Let me be specific. Steph Curry got beat up in the Western Conference Finals and the NBA Finals. They were physical with him. Their physicality ended up being imposing. The way people were running him through picks and screens or whatever, they were putting a body on him. They were making sure he felt their presence throughout this series. I don't know whether he was hurt, whether he was tired, whether he was off or whatever, but Steph Curry, in his own way, got a little bit exposed. He's got to get stronger, but here's why I'm not letting him off the hook. I thought last night his decision-making as a point guard was atrocious. What you've lamented about him on several occasions, playing around with the basketball, and I mean, it said that he had 4 turnovers. It felt like 10.
Yeah.
To be quite honest
I
with
agree.
you. Because
I agree.
the turnovers that he had, how are you going to throw a behind-the-back pass on the right sideline? I'm talking about momentum stalling turnovers.
Yep.
What are you doing? I mean, Cleveland is making a run. You stop them, then you come back at them, and you're making a run. And somehow, some way, you turn the ball over. You get stripped. You lose the ball handle. You throw ill-advised passes. You're joking around with the basketball. I saw a Klay Thompson that simply missed. His shots were going in and out, Skip.
Yeah, that's true.
There were a couple of times Steph Curry was shooting straight-up bricks.
Yeah.
Then you've got him being loose with the ball. Then you have a guy like Draymond Green. My Lord. Game 7, Draymond Green arguably isn't even a third option. This man had 32, 15, and 9. And nobody found him in the fourth quarter.
Nope.
Nobody.
They did not.
Steph Curry, you're the point guard. And you don't find Draymond Green. And so in that regard, where Mike Wilbon and I differed, but it wasn't put on the air because we didn't have time.
Yeah.
I held Steve Kerr to some degree responsible. I think Steve Kerr, by and large, has done a damn good job. There's no denying that.
Yep.
But if we're going to give him Coach of the Year honors after he coaches just 39 games, how do you absolve him when this team can't get it together? Now, Mike Wilbon's position is that Steph Curry and those boys are professional athletes. They know what they're supposed to do. I'm like, damn that. You're a professional head coach. You know, it's your job to reel them in. And I think to some degree Steve Kerr tried because Steph Curry was sitting on the bench a little bit longer than expected. I think it was around the second or third quarter. But nevertheless, you got to find a way. This is the second game out of the last 3 that there was a hot hand that took place on Golden State. And somehow, some way, they couldn't be found in the fourth quarter. Klay Thompson, 18 points in the second quarter, 26 at halftime, 35 after 3 in game 5. Gets just 2 shots in the fourth quarter. Draymond Green hit 6 3-pointers in the first half, had 7 3-pointers, dropped 32, 15, and 9. But nobody can find him in the fourth quarter. Mm-hmm. Where is your point guard? Where is the coaching when it comes to that? Festus Ezeli, your Vanderbilt guy, soft as cottonelle tissue.
Nope.
This dude gets the ball inside.
He didn't belong on the floor. That was a disaster.
Didn't belong on the floor.
Disastrous.
Didn't belong on the floor. It was a disaster.
Yeah.
Varejao or Spates. Spates was very active in the second quarter when he comes in, and then Steve Kerr doesn't put him back in. I'm looking at that. I'm looking at the fact that the only time I saw any set plays run for anybody for Golden State was out of timeouts. Outside of coming out of timeouts, I did not see one set play for a Golden State Warrior. So I look at it from that perspective, and there's only 2 people I can look at. Your point guard and your coach. Because you're supposed to run plays. And so when you look at it from that perspective, yeah, granted, you got to go with what brought you there. We understand that. But the flip side to it is that, damn, you modify a plan. You adjust. And I'm not saying that no adjustments were attempted by Steve Kerr. I wouldn't insult this man that way. The man has proven he can coach. I'm simply saying you got to look at the moment and you got to look at how your guys are going. Remember, Michael Jordan in our eyes is the greatest. But he found Paxson.
He did.
And then he found
Steve
Kerr.
Yep.
So guess what? It's showing you that no matter what you anticipate, sometimes the moment calls for something different. Game 5 called for Klay Thompson. Game 7 called for Draymond Green. And in the fourth quarter, your point guard and your coach did not make sure that those individuals were found. And that had a lot to do with why the Golden State Warriors are sitting here today, 73-9, all-time regular season record. And it doesn't mean a damn thing because you lost the championship.
I agree. And allow me to, I'm glad you brought up that glaring turnover. I have criticized Steph consistently on this show for those careless, cutesy turnovers. Why do you have to go behind the back with 5 minutes left? You're up a point and you have the basketball. I don't know if he just delivers an on-target conventional pass to Klay and he makes a shot from the corner. You're up 4. I don't know what's going to happen. But Stephen A., That game was begging for Steph Curry to win it in many ways as a point guard. And by the way, for the finals, Steph Curry averaged 2.3 assists per game for 7 games. That's your point guard. 2.3, we'd be all over any other point guard who averaged 2.3 assists and had 2 in Game 7. Well, we're on him because he deserves it. You have to figure out a way to either score the basketball or get it to the people with the hot hands. And Steph did not have he had the coldest hand I've ever seen.
Yeah, I wouldn't say the coldest hand he's ever seen. He still hit 4 3-pointers. I'm just saying, not the coldest hand you ever saw. But he was bad according to his standards. Yeah. He was bad according to his standards. But to me, Skip, you agree with me on the turnovers. We're together there. The other stuff you're getting on him about, to me, pales in comparison to what I'm about to bring up. Klay Thompson was off, but again, his shot went in and out. You know, a couple of ill-advised shots, but ultimately he took the shots you normally see him take and make, and it just went in and out. Almost, but not quite.
Yep.
Yeah, that happens, okay? That just happens. But that man had to defend Kyrie Irving. But guess what? They kept switching. Cleveland was manipulating switches, where ultimately Kyrie Irving would be lined up against Steph Curry.
I agree.
And let me put the world on notice. Look, Steph Curry is a deserving league MVP, and he's class personified. His post-game press conference just epitomized that. All props to him. Kyrie gave him the business.
Yeah.
Let's just call it what it is.
He did.
Kyrie danced on that brother.
Yep.
Danced on him. Tyree put something on him.
Yep.
So let's just be clear that while Steph is Steph, Kyrie basically said to the basketball world, y'all must have forgot who I am.
Yeah.
Because he went at Steph Curry every chance he got. And Steph Curry did not have one answer for him this entire series defensively. Kyrie Irving gave him the business.
Thank you. Speaking of Kyrie.
Yes. Before that, though, there's obviously a lot of angles that we're going to debate on this, and we want you guys to get involved on one of those subjects. So did the Cavs win it or did the Warriors lose it? Go to Twitter, vote on that. We'll discuss later in the show. But first.